Hello, this is Alex and Ryder from Channel 9 News. In this special edition, we will recollect some of the major news stories of the past 3 years. We begin our newscast with one of the stories that grasped the attention of the American public, the Iran hostage crisis. Many Iranians from both the left and the right did not approve of Iran's current leader, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, being in close relations with the United States. In the fall of 1979, Iranian revolutionaries stormed the U.S. Embassy, capturing 63 American hostages. The United States unsuccessfully attempted to negotiate with the hostages. In 1980, to try and get the hostages released, the U.S. refused to purchase Iranian oil by freezing billions of dollars of Iranian assets in the United States and by engaging throughout the crisis in a vigorous campaign of international diplomacy against the Iranians. In May 1980, the U.S. began to look for a military option when diplomacy failed. The hostages were still being held by their captors in the embassy complex despite the political turbulence. On April 24, a small U.S. task force landed in the desert southeast of Tehran. The goal was to extricate the hostages, however the mission failed due to mechanical failure with the helicopters. In mid-August, Iran finally installed a new government and Iraq invaded Iran on September 22nd. These two events led to the negotiations that finally resolved the crisis just minutes after the inauguration of Ronald Reagan on January 20th, 1981. The hostages were held by the revolutionists by a total of 44 days. Moving on to sports news, the 1979 NCAA National Championship game occurred just 2 years ago, and many are already calling it a game for the ages. Here's Giles at the scene for more information.
Thank you, Ryder. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, where the 1979 NCAA National Championship game has just ended here in the Special Events Center. The Michigan State Spartans, led by Magic Johnson, have just defeated the Indiana State Sycamores, led by Larry Bird, in what was a great game. The final score was 75-64. Magic Johnson led all scorers in the game with 24 points on 8 of 15 shooting. Gregory Kelser scored 19 points and grabbed 8 boards. Now for the Sycamores, Larry Bird finished with 19 points on a very inefficient 7 of 21 shooting. Had he made more of his shot, his team would have had a greater chance of winning. Carl Nix finished with 17 points on 7 of 14 shooting. Overall, this was a very entertaining game. In 3 years of college, Larry Bird scored 2,850 points and averaged 30.3 points per game. He also tallied 4.6 assists per game and grabbed 13.3 rebounds per game. Magic Johnson, on the other end, in 2 years of college, scored 1,059 points, averaged 17.1 points per game. Magic Johnson averaged an impressive 7.9 assists per game to go along with 7.6 rebounds. The future is very bright for Magic and Larry, as they will now go on to pursue NBA careers. They played very well during college, and hopefully this carries on to the pros.
Thanks, Giles. Good luck to Larry and Magic as they pursue careers in the NBA. On December 10, 1979, the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony took place in the Oslo City Hall in Norway, where Mother Teresa received an award for her humanitarian work. Her acceptance speech began with a prayer, where Teresa expressed her holy duty to right the moral wrongs of humanity. She said, "Where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony." Teresa's unselfishness and devotion to religion has guided her entire life, starting at age 12 when she announced her strong call to God. Teresa was born in Uksub Ottoman Empire, which is now Skopje, Republic of Macedonia. At age 18, Teresa changed her name and left her childhood home in order to join the Sisters of Loreto, an Irish group of nuns who did work in India. From there, she traveled to Calcutta, where she became a high school teacher for 17 years. The poverty Teresa witnessed struck her heart, and there she sparked her desire to help the impoverished. So she left the convent in order to devote her entire life to helping those in need. Her generosity and commitment attracted volunteers and soon financial support. This allowed her to expand her movement to a global order that she called Missionaries of Charity. Today, the order has spread around the world, encompassing many continents, doing relief work and providing health benefits for developing areas. Thank you, Mother Teresa, for all that you've done.
Do you ever feel the need to roll instead of walk? Well, if so, then you're in luck. The Rio Rollers are the best brand of roller skates in the world. Inspired by American college sports teams, these special edition skates will definitely stand out in the crowd. They feature all the high-quality specs of our real classic skates, but with additional cosmetic details, including printed numbers on the heels, striped outer cuff, and a varsity-style logo on the toe. Not only are these the best skates on trend, they are also the most unique designs on the quad skate. They They feature the best comfort on the market as well as great performance. The structure of this skate is absolutely amazing. It has a great support system, great tightening with oasis, a fiber-like frame with aluminum trucks for lightness, two-tone color wheels, ABEC7 carbon bearing in the wheels. These skates have a great price of $90.96, and they have great value.
Bag. I'm sure the person featured in this next event has touched all of our lives in some way. In the winter of 1980, America was devastated to learn about the loss of yet another influential icon. John Lennon was assassinated on December 8th, 1980, by Mark Chapman, a psychotic fan who had previously received Mr. Lennon's autograph earlier that same morning. If this wasn't odd enough, Chapman also stayed at the crime scene voluntarily until the authorities arrived and placed him under arrest. While being led away by the police, Chapman made random references to J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. He thought himself the main character. Chapman's odd mental state definitely warrants investigation into the motive of this cruel killing. On the tragic day in question, Lennon and his wife, Yoko Ono, were returning home from a transfer recording session at a Midtown Manhattan studio. Upon entering their apartment, Chapman shot Lennon 4 times in the back at close range with a .38 caliber revolver. Lennon was reported DOA by authorities at 11:25 p.m. John Lennon has left his mark on our society through his musical genius and popular, yet sometimes controversial, remarks and work with the hit group The Beatles. He also inspired many with his anti-war activism. A vigil was held the following week in memory of this beloved artist. Rest in peace, Mr. Lennon. You will be missed. Now let's go to Geo in the
Here at the
field.
site of the Three Island nuclear disaster. On March 28, 1979, the number 2 reactor of the Three Island nuclear generating station in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, suffered a partial nuclear meltdown. The meltdown occurred from a Stockoman relief valve, which allowed large amounts of nuclear coolant to escape. Without this coolant, the reactor experienced a massive increase in temperature, with half of the nuclear fuel melting and the reactor partially melting as a result. Human error also contributed, with inadequately trained operators who dumped more coolant from the reactor, believing there was too much coolant. This has catalyzed anti-nuclear supporters and led to the Nuclear Regulatory Committee, or the NRC, to impose stricter regulations. Radioactive gases and radioactive iodine have been released into the environment. Although studies have concluded this was not enough radioactive material to impact anyone in a 10-mile radius. The incident was rated a 5 on the 7-point International Nuclear Event Scale, accident with wider consequences. Cleanup began in August of 1979 and is still going on. It is estimated to cost $1 billion for the cleanup and take until 1993 to complete. Now back to you, Ryder.
In political news, Republican nominee Ronald Reagan officially mopped up Democrat Jimmy Carter in the '80 election, carrying 44 states. In the Republican primaries leading up to the election, many Republican hopefuls attempted to acquire the nomination, but Reagan's only serious competition ended up being George Bush. Most incumbent presidents do not have a challenger for their nomination, but Carter received opposition from Massachusetts Senator Ted Kennedy, the late JFK's brother. As Carter's standing in the public opinion polls plummeted in 78-79, thanks largely to his failure to solve the country's economic woes, Kennedy was widely seen as the logical Democratic alternative. Yet when the senator from Massachusetts finally declared his candidacy in late '79, he was doubted by many, and Carter ended up winning the nomination at the convention. As the general election neared, nominees Reagan and Carter camps had extensive negotiations about holding a debate, but until late in the campaign, none were held. As the election rolled around on November 4th, 1980, Reagan was the victor by a landslide, winning every region in the country. Carter carried only 6 states in the District of Columbia. Reagan won just over 50% of the vote, and while Carter captured 41%. In the Electoral College, the scale of Reagan's victory was dramatic, 489 to 49. Carter became the first elected incumbent to be defeated for re-election as president since Herbert Hoover lost to Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1932. Reagan, at age 69, became the oldest individual elected president in the United States history. Now we go to Gio to hear his opinions on the Moscow Olympics. Disclaimer, these opinions do not represent the entire
Thanks,
channel.
Ryder. Today we will be discussing the 1980 Moscow Olympics. The Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan in December 1979 led to the largest boycott in the history of the Olympic movement. U.S. President Jimmy Carter took the head in the call for a boycott of the 1980 Olympics. and approximately 60 other countries joined the United States in staying away from Moscow. A number of Western countries did not observe the boycott, notably Great Britain, France, Italy, and Sweden. In all, about 5,000 athletes representing 81 countries did not attend the Games. Protests against the Soviet presence in Afghanistan continued. However, several of the participating countries refused to attend the opening ceremony, and the Olympic hymn was played at several medal ceremonies rather than the appropriate national anthem. The Games were also hurt by rowdy behavior from spectators, cheating by officials, and security so intrusive that winners in track events were physically prevented from taking victory laps. Personally, I think Carter made the right decision to boycott the Olympics to make a point. Many nations of the world did not like the way the Soviet Union was handling Afghanistan, and this was a good way to show their disapproval. With that, we go back to Alex in the studio.
Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you
Welcome back. To wrap up this broadcast of the last 3 years in our history, we'd like to bring attention to the innovative film Star Trek. The first Star Trek film, directed and produced by Robert Wise, manages to capture the vibe of the TV show and offers fans a good 2 hours of entertainment. Although this film isn't a classic by any means, it's still enjoyable for what it is. There has been far better science fiction films made, but this first film in the Star Trek series is quite good. With this film, director Wise crafts something unforgettable and has a good storyline, impressive performances, and an effective mix of action and thrill. Fans of the show will surely enjoy this picture, and it's an effective continuation of what Gene Roddenberry accomplished with his show. Overall, I enjoyed this film, but the on-scene effects didn't hold up too well for my taste. Nonetheless, it's still an effective, entertaining sci-fi movie, one that should be seen by genre fans looking for a well-constructed film. Star Trek the Motion Picture will hold your attention from start to finish, but as a whole, it does leave a bit to be desired, which is what the follow-up movie will improve on. I must admit, I was never big into Star Trek, but I enjoyed this film and I felt that director Wise, of whom I've enjoyed previous works, is well suited to tackle this first big screen outing of the classic show. This film doesn't break new grounds in the genre, therefore I would not consider it a science fiction classic. However, it would surely appeal to viewers who are looking for a good science fiction movie as an amazing thrill and great to watch. See you at the cinema. Thank you for joining us tonight on our special edition presentation reflecting on our American history. This is Channel 9 News wishing you all a good night.